And so here's the first word I wanted to share with you. Can you see that? Go ahead and say that word for me. hmm So if we are what is called voicing the sound, we are making a V sound. But if it's unvoiced, it can sound like voiceless, actually, is the proper term, and that would be an F. So a word like half may actually sound like the word you're trying to say. And that's what happened during the assessment. You said have, and it sounded like half. Now, how do we get to this point to fix it? Well, we can see it's spelled with a V, so we know that. Okay, represented by the letter V. Got that. Um, but sometimes V's sound like F's, uh, and so that becomes a little tricky. But sometimes F sounds like a V. For example, in the word of, the F should sound like a V. And some people make this word sound like off. So the question really boils down to, how do we know if we're voicing a sound, making it vibrate, and how do we know when it's voiceless, meaning making it whisper? So that's what I wanted to talk about when we're speaking about what are called in the category of aspirated consonants. So aspirated is just another way to categorize these consonant sounds. Um, Fricative is another. I'd say fricative is probably the more accurate, so we'll put that as the core and the aspirated as secondary. So we're making friction. We're making a V, V. It almost sounds like, if you want to relate it to a stringed instrument, it would be a cello, which is one of my favorite instruments to listen to. Right, so let's make it sound as if we're that instrument. We're just a cello, and we're just making a V sound, and we just say V. Awesome, great. And then we move into an F. Now this is where it gets a little bit interesting, because we're going to, on the same breath, change from a voiced to a voiceless sound. So we're going to make it in the same breath. So it just sort of loses that friction, but it continues on an F. Can you try that? Good. Okay. There was a little bit of apprehension there. We want to have more comprehension for this sound, right? Not apprehension, meaning you stopped short of sustaining the F. It's almost as if you did it and that was enough for you. You didn't need to do it anymore. But we want to sustain it and exaggerate it, and that's part of the approach to our training. Is if you exaggerate it, you are going to learn it better and faster. It's going to stick with you. So, and it's also physicalizing it. We're making this techniques not just something you hear when you pronounce words correctly, but you feel that you're pronouncing the V sound correctly. You feel that little bit of tingling on the bottom lip. So let's make that feeling tangible. Let's let's actually hear it and feel it.